I know we've been confined at home for a very long time, and we haven't had the chance to travel, but I want you to think about that place on earth that took your breath away. I want you to think about the feeling of fulfillment when you go for a hike and you reach the peak, the beautiful view, the fresh air. I want you to think about the first swim of the summer, the water on your skin, the smell of the sea breeze. Even I want you to think about how wonderful it is to see the seasons change, even by just looking through your window. Well, all that is in danger due to climate change. Now, the good thing is that today we will be talking about all the many ways in which me, you, as citizens, can contribute to the fight against climate change. That is what the European Climate Pact is all about. It is about taking action, but doing it together. It is about spreading knowledge and raising awareness. It is about joining forces, building bridges, helping each other to find a way to contribute. Executive Vice President for the European Green Deal, Frans Timmermans, who is joining us this morning in the studio. Thank you so much for being here today with us.
It's my pleasure.
Now, there is something that I have asked our public this morning, and is what have they done today to fight climate change? And I was wondering, Executive Vice President, what have you done today for the environment?
Well, today, I mean, it's early days today. First of all, I've come here with an electric car. My service car is now an electric car, which is a small contribution, but it's already a lot better. And then when I had breakfast, we made sure that we buy products that are green. My wife is very strict about that, and my kids are really forcing us to make sure that everything we do is consistent with what we believe in. And I believe that's the core issue. If you're consistent with your beliefs, you feel better. You feel better as a citizen, as a human being, and we're trying to do that. We fail sometimes. Sometimes we are a bit inconsistent, but every step helps.
Of course, as we were saying before, every action counts when it comes to fighting climate change. Now that I was listening to all these people, all their stories, the inspiring things that they are doing, I was thinking, what is it that motivated you to become a climate fighter?
Well, I think mainly because we see that we have a huge problem. You know, now we're fighting a pandemic, and thanks that we have a vaccine coming up now that will help us overcome this. But for the climate crisis, there is no vaccine. For the biodiversity crisis, there is no vaccine. So we need to change our ways. We really need to start living differently, not less, not worse, even better. But we need to recreate a balance with our natural environment if we want to survive as humanity. You know, we always say it's about saving the planet, but the planet can take care of itself. It was there a long time before we came along. It's going to be there a long time after we've gone. But the time we spend on this planet, we better create a balance with that planet to make sure we can survive. And it's very urgent. If we want to control what's happening with the temperature, we need to be climate neutral by 2050. If we want to be climate neutral by 2050, we have to reduce our emissions drastically in 10 years' time. If we want that to happen, we have to put the legislation in place now. So when I hold my grandson, who was born this summer, I promised to him, once you are grown up, there will be measures in place that will create a better living environment for you, that will prevent the climate crisis from being out of control. But to get there, I need to act now. Now that he's a baby, I need to act if he's to reap the benefits of this when he's an adult.
But how can the Climate Pact help to convince those who still have doubts about climate change?
By showing that whatever you do yourselves, the small steps, they all contribute to that. You know, a couple of years ago, I was worried about climate deniers. I said there is no climate problem or the temperature rise is normal. They are disappearing very quickly because the evidence is becoming overwhelming, even for people who are very skeptical. Today, I worry more about climate despair, people saying it's lost already. We can't do it. What can I do as a person? You know, this problem is too big. And the Climate Pact will show that it's not lost. We can still save the day, and everyone's contribution matters. Even the smallest steps lead us to the path that will lead us to a carbon neutral and a climate neutral society in 2050.
So you also think that this pact can actually convince those who are already losing faith in the possibility to actually fight climate change?
Well, it will empower people to show that they can do something themselves. It's an empowering tool. It's not a tool. It's not a tool to sort of go to people and say, you should be doing this. It's telling people, look, You have this in your power to do this. And if you come together with others who also share our view that we need to have a climate neutral society in 30 years. 30 years is a blink of an eye. If we need to get there, everyone should contribute. And the Climate Pact brings people together to learn from each other and also to show what can be done.
We have 180 of our ambassadors joining us from Zoom. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? And they're going to have a discussion before we go into the questions from Slido. And I want you to remember that you can still ask your question or vote for your favorite one, because we're going to choose the most voted ones to ask him, Executive Vice President Frans Timmermans. But before, we're going to have a conversation with our ambassadors who will be joining us live on the studio. We're going to go to Kai now. Hello, Kai. How are you doing? What would you like to ask Executive Vice President? Hello.
Well, I would like our ambassadors to help me convince everyone that Africa is our sister continent, and that if things go badly in Africa, they will go badly in Europe. And if things go badly in Europe, they will go badly in Africa. So our fates are linked, interlinked. That's the first point. My second point in this is this. Sub-Saharan Africa produces less energy from solar power than the Netherlands. So there is a huge potential in Africa for power generation on the base of renewable energy, wind and solar. So if we help investment in those countries to go into that direction, they can leapfrog over a number of developments we made before, and they can avoid a number of mistakes we have made. Now, initially, African countries were quite reluctant because they believed that we would put more burden on them and not help them. But what I've seen in the last year, 2 years, is that in African countries, there is a huge realization of the effects of climate change already now on them. The fact that South Africa is now committed, South Africa, huge coal producer, to get out of coal and to work towards climate neutrality is incredible. But it comes after the realization that these nations, that this continent is highly affected already by climate change. Look at the locust plagues we've seen in Eastern Africa. Look at the unpredictable weather now, the seasons that can no longer be banked upon, etc. It's causing havoc. The strong point of Africa, we sometimes in European public opinion, we look at Africa and say, oh my God, all these young people, they're going to come here. I look at Africa and I say, wow, look at these young people. They can build a very strong continent. They are smarter, healthier than ever before. They get more education than ever before. If we help empower them, they can build a powerhouse, which is our sister continent. And then we both profit, whether it's in solar energy, in wind energy, in hydrogen economy, in all sorts of areas. So I am optimistic as soon as we understand that our destinies are linked.
I think it's very important what you were saying about all the many opportunities that is in Africa, especially when it comes to sustainable energy, indeed, and this passion and leadership that we were talking about before about young people.
-55 target is enough to get us to climate neutrality in 2050.
And the good news is that we had an agreement on the European Council to achieve that goal. We will have also a very long fight on the, well, hopefully not so long, on the climate law that we have ahead with the Commission and with the Council and with the Parliament as well. That's where the questions from our public. I want to thank you very much for being here today with us. Here you have some examples of how pledges from various organizations could look like.
UEFA is today committing to the European Green Deal not only as an organization, but as a guardian of football, the most popular sport worldwide. Saving our planet is a pressing emergency for all of us. With our European Climate Pact pledge, UEFA is committing to setting science-based targets to reduce UEFA's emissions in line with the Paris Agreement goals, creating a 3-year joint TV ad campaign to broadcast the European Green Deal into hearts and homes across Europe, establishing a Green Deal working group, including national football associations and other football stakeholders in the lead up to Euro 2024.
And alongside UEFA as co-organizers of this European Championship, we'll aim to make this tournament the most sustainable and climate-friendly Euro in history.
European football stands with the European Union in leading the charge of climate action across the continent.
Hello, I'm Sam Lee. I'm a musician, conservationist, and environmental campaigner.
And I'm Faye Milton. I'm also a musician, and both Sam and I are founder members of Music Declares Emergency. Congratulations on the launch of Climate Pact, and thank you for inviting us to take part.
Music Declares Emergency is a group of artists, music industry professionals, and organisations who have declared an environmental emergency.
Our declaration is calling upon governments to act urgently on climate and biodiversity loss and to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions by no later than 2030. We recognise that the emergency has arisen from global injustices, and so we're committing to working towards systemic change to protect all life on Earth.
Music Declares Emergency acknowledges the environmental impact of our industry's practices and commits to taking urgent action.
Through our No Music on a Dead Planet campaign, we pledge that over the next year we will harness the incredible power of the music industry to engage the public with a positive vision of how we can overcome the climate and ecological emergency.
In the run-up to COP26 in Glasgow, our industry has an incredible opportunity to strengthen and galvanise public support for the EU Green Deal.
Music and culture have a unique ability to reach communities all over the world and cultivate positive vision for the future.
And keep up the good work.
Now, as we come to the end, I want to thank all our guests, the Climate Pact Ambassadors, for their incredibly inspiring and moving stories. Thank you so much, guys.